ever talk to or investigate the circumstance of the possibility, even the remote possibility, that Michael Proctor may have had a relationship with the Alberts that you were unaware of?
No, I never investigated anything like that.
So after your initial conversation with Mr. Proctor, where he said, I know of these people, and you said, is there any issue with you going forward? And he said, no, there's no issue. You took no further steps after that to investigate that relationship. And I'm talking about the relationship that existed on or around January 29th, 2022, not in 2023, not in 2024.
Once Michael Proctor stated that he was comfortable conducting the interview, and I asked him if he was sure, and he said yes, we moved on.
Yeah, just a moment, Your Honor.
Yes.
Last couple of questions. Were you in court? I know you're indicating that you've never heard about these text messages. Were you in court in February of 2024 following the federal investigation revelation, the documents that we got from the both sides got from the federal investigation, which revealed and was revealed in open court the text messages about gift giving between Courtney Proctor and Michael Proctor? Hey, Judy wants to get you a gift, and Michael Proctor's response was, "Get it for Elizabeth, get it for my wife." Were you in court when those were revealed?
Following the harassment, intimidation that I experienced on the 23rd, being followed into the bathroom, then being followed outside, I stopped coming to court proceedings due to that. So I was not in court in February of 2024 and describing the information that you're revealing. I was not aware of that detail.
Did you review that all of these proceedings are televised? Sergeant, you know that, right?
I'm not aware that it's televised, no.
You're not aware
I know it streams, but I'm not aware that it's televised.
Okay, streamed. Whatever you want to call it. Streamed on the internet. You can find it.
You can, yes.
They're recorded.
Right.
Did you ever review the hearing in February 2024 talking about what's been referred to as the Fed dump and the revelations that were made pursuant to that federal investigation and the text messages attendant there too?
I am aware of a Fed dump. I'm aware that it exists. I was not privileged to any information outside of the information that was revealed to me during the internal affairs investigation.
Right.
That was the first time I saw documents from that federal investigation.
By the way, were you privy to, Michael, there were three individuals involved in the investigation: yourself, Lieutenant Tully, and Michael Proctor. Is that right?
In what
The
investigation?
internal affairs investigation.
I'm aware that I was. I know they were as well. I don't know who else might have been involved. I don't know.
In terms of your awareness of Michael Proctor's investigation, you're aware, obviously, that he was terminated, correct?
I am aware that he's terminated, yes.
Did you ever see or were privy to any of the documents or investigative materials associated with his termination as his supervisor?
No.
So nothing was ever shared with you, the final decision?
Other than the documents that he was attached in the text message that I was shown from that investigation, nobody showed me anything of his investigation.
Okay, so let's wrap this up.
Okay, that was basically all I had.
Okay, all right. Do you want to be heard, Mr. Jackson?
No.
Okay.
On that.
Yeah, I'm not letting any of this in.
I think it's all invisible, but I understand the court's ruling was if he doesn't have personal knowledge of it and didn't have it then you're not going to let it in. It's over our objection, but that's been noted.
Okay, so you got your voir dire, and I'm glad we fleshed it all out. So you have to be back here in 35 minutes. All right. When's the jury coming back, Paul?
It was 20 of.
All right. Be back here at 25. ready to go.
All rise to the court, please.
You about the location. So
Okay.
I'll agree with you that we can call it that.
Great. It looks like a parking lot. There's cars.
Yes, yes, sir.
Okay. Just for purposes of, so it doesn't get complicated, we'll call this rear lot main side. That doesn't mean anything unless you adopt it. So just for identification purposes.
Thank you.
If we could move to runtime 1:26:32. Okay. With the court's permission, may I play it at this point?
Okay.
Thank you. Stop. Did you see a car pass in front?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What kind of car did that look like to you?
It looked like a two-door Jeep Wrangler with a plow on it.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. Okay, stop. Sergeant, did you, during the course of your investigation, learn whether or not anybody associated with your investigation had a two-door Jeep Wrangler with a plow on it?
Yes.
Who is that?
Mr. Brian Higgins.
Okay, thank you. Let's go ahead and play this. Okay, stop. Sir, do you see a person who appears to have alighted from the car,
Yes.
from the Jeep? Sergeant, if you could turn your attention to the screen on the right, does that appear to be the location of the person that you're describing?
That's the individual that came out of the vehicle, yes.
Okay. I know it's super blurry. You may not be able to at this point. Do you know who that is?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it. Okay, stop. All right. Did you see the person walk off the screen?
Yes.
Did it appear that that person had something in his or her hands?
Possibly, yes.
Okay. May I have a moment, Your Honor?
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. If we could play the second clip on this same GG. Before this is played, Sergeant, do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I do not know.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this. Stop. What do you see on the video at this point?
An individual crossing the frame with a couple of cars parked, one of which has a plow on it.
Does it look like an exterior video?
Yes.
Does that appear to be an exterior video if you don't know exactly where, an exterior video of Canton PD?
From the facilities, yes.
Okay. And describe the person that you see in the foreground at the bottom of the screen.
Appears to be wearing a black sweatshirt, a hooded sweatshirt.
Larger in stature, smaller in stature, can you tell?
I'd be speculating because there's no comparison, but possibly larger. I don't know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. And that's it for that. Your Honor, if we could play the next video. By the way, can we agree before we move off of this, just for identification purposes, can we agree to call this rear lot cruiser side as opposed to rear lot main side, just to keep them separate?
Same as last time. I'm not aware familiar where that camera is, so I cannot argue with you nor adopt. But if for identification purposes only, we can agree on that.
Can you see from where you are, and I know the answer to this, can you see from where you are the timestamp on the bottom of this?
No.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, it's very, very small. Is it possible to ask the witness to adjourn from the witness stand just to get close enough to see if he can read the?
You can't increase the size of it?
Maybe we can. I'm not the tech guy. Mr. Wolk? Magic. Wow. I didn't even know he could do that. Okay. Can you read that?
Yes, it says rear lot cruiser side.
Okay. What about the time?
The timestamp reads 1:27:41.
Do you see a date?
Yes,
What is that date?
1/29/2022.
Thank you. This was my fault. Your Honor, if we could move back to rear lot main side, I'd like to do the same thing. I failed to ask for the time and date on that one. Mr. Wolk, if you could, please. Is it possible to see from there the time and date?
Yes, the time is 1:27:32 a.m. and the date is 1/29/2022.
Thank you. Okay, if we can move to the third clip. If we could start, Mr. Wolk, by enhancing with the court's permission the time and date, let's just start with that. Do you see what the timestamp designates this camera angle to be?
It appears to be church side. And I can't read the third word there.
Exterior?
Oh, yes, exterior. Sally Port.
Okay, and if you could tell the jurors what you see in terms of the time and date.
The time is 1:27:43 a.m. and the date is 1/29/2022.
Thank you. Mr. Wolk, if you could play that with the court's permission.
Okay.
Stop. Do you see a person in that video?
I do.
Although it's somewhat blurry, can you describe that individual for us, please?
Individual wearing dark clothing, possibly. That's the best I could do, really.
Okay. Does it appear, given what you've seen in terms of the time of the main side, cruiser side, and now this exterior church side, does that appear to be the same person moving through on the outside of Kenton PD?
It does, yes.
Okay. And what are we looking at here, by the way? What is this door he's about to walk into?
I'd be guessing. I was never present on that side of the Sally Port.
Understood.
I don't know.
Let's go ahead and play this. Okay. And for the final clip. If we could go down to the timestamp and date. A little bigger, Mr. Wolk, if you could. Can you see what that is designated as that camera angle?
Yes, it says first floor corridor, and the time is 1:28:03 a.m. on the 29th of January, 2022.
Okay. Is this the corridor version or video that you did have some recollection of?
Yes, this is, yes.
Okay, if we can go ahead and play this. Stop. Do you recognize the person in this video?
It appears to be Mr. Brian Higgins.
Okay, and what is he wearing? Describe it for the jurors.
Black sweatshirt with some sort of logo on the front. It appears to be blue jeans and shoes with a white trim.
And is the hood up or down on the sweatshirt?
It's up.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this. May I have just a moment? Could you pause this, Mr. Wolf? Can you make note of the time as it's paused right here?
Do you want me to say it again or
Yes,
write
sir.
it down?
Yes, sir.
The time is 1:28:16 a.m.
Okay, and if we could just continue playing this video. It is playing. Stop. Now, if you could take a look at the time now. Okay, what's that time?
1:29:42
Okay.
a.m.
And if we could go ahead and go forward. Is it still playing, Mr. Wolk? Okay. If we could take a look at the time one more time.
Now it's, you want me to say it?
Yes, sir.
1:34:12 a.m.
And in the time, just so the record's clear, in the time between you saying 1:28:16 to 1:34:12, 6 minutes has not gone by, correct?
Just under 6, I believe, yeah.
Well, 6 minutes for us in real time,
Oh, in real time, yeah, no.
it is not. So it
Sorry.
appears that the camera jumped, or the time jumped.
The time difference from what was displayed is approximately 6 minutes, yes.
Okay, which is much longer than the time we've actually been looking at the video, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so it appears that it may be motion activated and it just jumped.
That's a possibility, yes.
Okay.
yes.
Let's go ahead and continue playing this. And stop. Do you see someone in the screen now?
Yes.
And one more time, I know this is laborious, one more time if we could clock the time. Can you see that?
No, it's really blurry for me.
There we go.
Yes. Now I can see it 1:34:15, if I'm not mistaken, a.m.
Okay, fair enough. And let's go ahead and play this all the way through. Okay. Who did that appear to be walking away from the camera in this shot?
I'm not certain. I would be suspecting or guessing if I gave you an answer, but I'm not certain who that is.
As best you can determine, does he have the same stature? I know you can't see his face. Same stature, same clothing, jeans, shoes with white stripe around it, dark hooded sweatshirt. Does he appear to be the same person as Brian Higgins?
It does appear that way, yes.
Okay. Is that it? Okay. There's one more clip that I'd ask you to look at on this same GG device. Okay. What do you see in this video?
Appears to be the church side Sally port, and an individual came out of the door.
Okay. And can we highlight the time, please, or increase the size? What time do you see there?
1:34:40 a.m.
Okay. If we go ahead and play this through. Pause. Does it appear from this video that the person has anything in his hand?
I'm sorry, can you play that again? I wasn't looking at the hand,
Oh,
but
sure, sure.
I really can't tell.
Okay. There should be another video of the rear lock cruiser side. Let's take a look at that. Pause. What do you see in that video?
It appears to be an individual wearing a black beanie hat, black dark colored sweatshirt with some design on it, and something illuminating by his face.
Can we enhance the time, please? What time is that?
It says 1:34 and 53 seconds in the morning, a.m.
And if you could move the screen over to the individual. Mr. Wolf. Does that appear to be the same person?
It could possibly be, yeah.
And does it appear as something in his hands up to his face, the right side of his face or ear?
Yes.
What do you think that is?
It's consistent with a cellular device, possibly a phone or a tablet.
Okay, if we could move on, please. Play that through. And I believe there's one more video. And Your Honor, this one is a little longer. This is about 10 minutes.
Okay.
With the court's permission, I'd like to play this through. Okay, stop. Do you see a person in the video walking from screen right to screen left?
Yes.
Did that person appear to have something in his right hand?
I can't tell. I can't see his right hand.
Okay. When he first walked into the screen, could you tell?
I couldn't know. I'm sorry.
Mr. Wolf, could we back that up with the court's permission about 2 seconds?
Okay.
Stop. Did it appear as something in his hand?
It's a possibility, yes.
Okay. And just for, I'm going to ask you for 2 times when we start and when we stop. What's the time on this video at this point when he walks into frame?
1:35 and 8 seconds in the morning, a.m.
Okay. And let's go ahead and play this through. Pause it, please. Sergeant, at this point, do you see a person walking into the frame into the video from frame left to frame right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Can you pause it? Did you see something happen with the vehicle next to the Jeep in the last few seconds?
Yes.
What was that?
It appears as though the headlights are activated.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it. Okay, pause it. You see a person that is walking from screen right to screen left in the middle of the screen?
Yes, he just or she just appears to have closed the door on that vehicle next to the plow.
Okay. And walking toward which vehicle?
The one on the furthest on the left.
Okay. From what you've seen, Sergeant, that you said he or she, does that person appear to be consistent with the video that we've seen in other particulars of Brian Higgins?
As far as I could tell from here, the individual accessed Brian Higgins' vehicle, so
Right.
I'd be speculating with the whiteout conditions or near whiteout conditions. It's tough to tell.
But no reason to believe it's anybody other than Brian Higgins accessing Brian Higgins' vehicle.
No,
Okay.
no.
Let's go ahead and play it. And what do you see Brian Higgins or that person doing now?
They accessed the vehicle on the far left.
Okay. And where's that person going?
Now they're accessing the Jeep Wrangler.
Can you pause it? Where does that individual appear to be now in the video?
Last I could tell, they might be by the Jeep Wrangler.
Before that person got to the Jeep Wrangler, was he standing by the vehicle on the far left, SUV or truck?
It appeared that way, but with the heavy whiteout snow that night, I can't tell exactly what they were doing.
Did you see anything in his hand, like a bag or a satchel or a duffel bag or something, when that person walked from this vehicle over to the Jeep?
I did not notice, no.
Go ahead. Now, has that person walked off screen to the left?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you see that person entering screen from screen left?
Yes. What did you just see the person do? They were carrying possibly like a snow broom, walking from left to right.
And what do you see happening now?
The Jeep Wrangler is leaving the spot it was parked in.
Okay, we can take that down. Oh, I'm sorry. I failed to ask you the time. I promised I would do it, and I forgot again. Can we look at the time real quick?
Yes, the time for the rear lot main side is 1:45:52.
And it appears that's the approximate time that the Jeep Wrangler drove off.
Approximately, yes.
Okay. Thank you. In are you friends with Brian Higgins?
I am not.
Do you know Brian Higgins?
I know who he is, yes.
Have you ever socialized with Brian Higgins?
Like out on private time?
Go out, have a beer,
No.
see him at a bar. Hey, Brian, let's grab the beer. Nothing like that?
No.
How long have you known Mr. Higgins?
I'd be speculating. It's before this case. He was a law enforcement individual that worked in the area. So I've had cases where he assisted on and that I've assisted on.
Would you consider yourself to have a professional relationship with him?
I knew who he was, so yes, I would consider a professional relationship.
But you would not consider your relationship to have gone over to the personal relationship? You don't
Not at all.
socialize, do any
No.
private
No.
get-togethers?
No.
Okay. You would agree that this video pretty clearly shows, at least at one point, around 1:34 a.m., Brian Higgins was on his phone.
Is that the one that he has the device by his face?
Correct.
It appears that way, yes.
And just to be clear, when you interviewed Mr. Higgins, he did not volunteer to give you his phone, correct?
He did not volunteer it, no.
And you didn't seek his phone through a warrant or any other mechanism?
I did not know.
Do you have any personal knowledge as to the status of that phone as we sit here today?
The one that he got the extractions from?
Correct.
No idea, no.
I want to shift gears to another series of videos. Last year at another proceeding, you were asked about a couple of videos from the interior Sallyport garage at Canton PD. So now we're going to move to the interior. You remember those series of questions and answers that you gave?
Generally,
Okay. You were asked at another proceeding to describe when the SUV, Miss Reed's SUV, first arrived at the Sallyport garage around 5:30 or so, correct?
based on my recollection of it first arriving or what we were viewing?
What you were viewing?
I'm objecting to this.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Do you remember being asked a series of questions concerning the arrival of the SUV, just in general?
I remember that it happened. I don't remember the exact questions on what my answers were.
And you remember seeing a video about which you were asked questions concerning the arrival of that SUV, pulling into the Sallyport, who was who, what the time frame was generally. Do you remember that colloquy, that discussion?
I remember it taking place, yes.
That was Mr. Lally asking you questions, correct?
I believe so.
Under questioning by the Commonwealth, you were asked whether the video that you were looking at fairly and accurately represented the SUV arriving at the Sallyport garage, correct?
Yes,
And you indicated, in fact, it did fairly and accurately depict the arrival of the SUV at the Sallyport garage. Is that right?
that's correct.
I'd like to ask you a question about that particular video. You have it, Your Honor, I'm holding a flash drive. May I approach?
Yes.
I'm gonna have just one more. May I have a moment to consult with counsel?
Paul, the lunch is here. Jurors, you know what? Let's take the luncheon break.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Sure, right this way, please.
You are unmuted.
Please be seated, court is in session.
All right, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. As a matter of housekeeping, I would ask that GG for identification be moved in place.
Yes.
May I inquire? I'm so sorry. I did it again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, go right ahead, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you. Just before the lunch break, Sergeant, I asked whether you had engaged in a discussion with the Commonwealth at a prior proceeding in which you were shown a video and you talked about the fairness and accuracy of that particular video in the Sally Port when the SUV was first pulled in. And you indicated that you did indicate that it was fair and accurate, correct?
Yes, back then, yes. Yeah.
I want to play a copy, a bit of that video, if I could, please, with the court's permission.
Okay, is it in evidence?
It is not. I would ask that we mark as next in order. Thumb drive.
Were we marking this for identification, or is there an agreement it's going into evidence?
I'd like it into evidence.
We agree with the stipulation that it's authentic.
I'm not going to argue metadata issues or authenticity issues, so.
All right, so is there a stipulation that this is authentic? Okay, so folks, again, a stipulation means the parties agree. And with that, I will allow this into evidence as the next exhibit. Madam Court Reporter?
That's it.
Okay, now you may display it.
Thank you. Okay. Could we play beginning, what's the runtime, Mr. Wolk? This is at 5:37:03. If we could just play this forward for a couple of seconds. A little bit further. Pause. Do you see what's depicted in this video?
Yes, I do.
This is the video that you were shown at a prior proceeding, correct?
Yes, it is.
Does this appear to be the interior of the Sallyport at Canton PD?
Yes, it is.
And this is what you were questioned about regarding the SUV being pulled into the Sallyport, correct?
Yes.
From a time frame standpoint, just the time frame, this is right after the SUV has been driven in from the flatbed after having been seized in Dighton, correct?
Yes, it was driven off of the flatbed after transportation from Dighton to Canton PD and driven into the Sallyport.
All right. You previously have identified individuals in this video, in this still shot, correct?
Yes.
And what you previously said, and then we'll get to subsequent testimony in a second, you previously indicated that the person to the right was you, person to the left, Michael Proctor, correct?
Yes, previously I identified that being Michael Proctor. I was mistaken. That is not me on the right.
That would be the tow truck driver, correct?
That's correct.
That is, in fact, Michael Proctor, however, in the two-tone jacket, correct?
I believe so.
Okay. And as the video is portrayed, at least as we're looking at it, and I'll get to the next question next, as we're looking at it, it appears that we're looking at the right passenger side of the vehicle, as it appears in this video, correct?
That's correct.
And you see a timestamp and a date stamp on the bottom, correct?
It is present. I don't know what it says.
Okay, can we highlight that just a little bit? Can you see what that says?
I believe it says interior Sallyport back wall,
Okay,
537, maybe.
okay. When you indicated that this was a fair and accurate depiction of the interior Sallyport when the SUV was brought in, you were specifically asked whether or not you or Michael Proctor approached or manipulated or touched the right rear taillight area of the vehicle, correct?
I don't remember the exact verbiage used, but in something along those lines, that's what was asked.
And you indicated that neither of you did, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. But in point of fact, this video is backward, correct?
Yes, it is a mirror image of what is actually taking place as recorded by the camera.
Can we play this forward?
Yes.
Do you see where Mr. Proctor, let's go ahead and pause it. Do you see where Mr. Proctor went?
Yes, the video depicts him going to that portion of the vehicle, but we can't tell how close he is.
Okay. And the back, from all appearances, importantly, it appears to be the back driver's side, back left of the vehicle, correct?
That's the way it appears, yes.
Let's play this forward for a second. Pause. Can I ask you to pay special note to the far rear side of the vehicle? Do you see what appears to be Mr. Proctor's head?
Yes.
As the tow truck driver walks past the rear of the vehicle, can you watch and tell me if you see Mr. Proctor do anything or move in any way? Let's go ahead and play it forward. Pause. Did you see any volitional movement by Mr. Proctor as the tow truck driver moved past him?
Yes, it appears if that is his head, it shifted weight.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play it forward. Stop. Did you see a person that appeared to morph toward the back of the vehicle? Right there.
There is some anomaly there with the footage, so it could possibly be used to describe that what took place.
Can you recognize that person?
I cannot know.
You indicated previously, does that person look large or small in stature
I can't tell.
as compared to, for instance, Michael Proctor, whose head you can see above the car? What about this person? Taller, shorter than Michael Proctor?
I can't tell from here. I can't.
You indicated that Chief Berkowitz was a smaller statured person, correct?
I never said that.
I'm sorry?
I didn't know his height.
Larger or smaller? Generally. How about this? Larger or smaller than you?
He's shorter than me.
Okay. Can you tell whether or not that is Chief Berkowitz?
I cannot know.
Okay, let's go ahead and play it for him. And a little bit further. Pause. What does it appear that Mr. Proctor does at this point in the video?
He's walking.
Okay, do you see anything in his hand?
I cannot tell from the video, but that he might be carrying something.
Remember we looked previously at a portfolio, black portfolio. Does it appear that he may have a black portfolio in his hand?
That is very likely, but I don't know exactly what he's carrying.
Okay, let's go ahead and play this forward. Okay, and did it appear that somebody just appeared at the front right, or sorry, the right-hand side of the screen toward the front of the SUV as well?
Yes, it appears that way, yes.
Okay. Let's take this down. I'd like to mark. I have another electronic device, a thumb drive, that has another video on it, Your Honor. I'd like to have that marked as next in order. Court permission.
All right, so there's no objection, Mr. Bryan?
No objection, thank you.
119.
With the court's permission.
Yes.
Now, Sergeant, what does this show?
It appears to be the mirror image of the previous footage. I don't know the exact timestamp there, but
Can we increase the date and time? Do you see, can you read the date and timestamp on this Chiron?
I cannot know.
It's because it's backward, correct?
I can't read it. I can't make it out, sir.
Can you make it any bigger, Mr. Wolk? Does that appear to be backward?
Based on me recognizing some of the digits, it does appear to be backwards.
Okay, let's look at the whole screen again. Sergeant, let's play this forward for just a quick second. Pause. you see Michael Proctor in this video?
I believe that's him. Yes.
And which side, and let's start with this. Do you agree that this is the correct version of the camera angle and the SUV as it pulled into the Sally Port?
This is the footage, the way that is depicted right now is very accurately very accurately represents what I remember from being there.
In fact, this side of the vehicle that we're looking at that's closest to us, that I'm highlighting on the screen to your right, that is in fact the driver's side of the vehicle, not the passenger side of the vehicle. Is that correct?
That is correct.
The far side over here would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
Yes, sir.
Which area is Michael Proctor walking to? The left rear or the right rear in this footage?
It appears if that's him, he's walking to the right rear of the vehicle.
Can we play this forward? And do you see Mr. Proctor's head above the SUV?
Yes.
And watch him as the tow truck driver walks by. Did he appear to move?
He shifted weight, yes.
And it appears that there's another person that showed up in the footage, an anomaly of some sort, walking off screen left to right. Is that right?
That's what it appears, yes.
Is Mr. Proctor still at the right rear taillight area?
He's in that general vicinity, yes.
Let's go ahead and play it forward. A little bit further. Pause. Can you see anything in his hand? Let me just ask it closed in. Do you see the portfolio in his hand?
It would not be unlikely that it's there, but I can't tell exactly what it is in his hand.
Let's play it forward. Do you see anything in his hand now as his arm?
Yes, yes.
Does it appear to be consistent with the black portfolio that we saw earlier?
Yes, it is, yes.
Let's move forward. And he is now off screen, correct?
Yes.
So, in point of fact, Sergeant, when you were asked previously whether the prior video fairly and accurately depicted what you recall as it pertains to the SUV and the Sally Port, that was not quite true, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
The way I understood the question is what I'm watching accurately depicts what's taking place. It is. Just because it's a mirror image doesn't mean that it's not recording what the actions and what is transpiring.
But you would agree, at least, that the previous video showed exactly the opposite of what was true and correct, not just a mirror image. What was left is right, and what is right is left, correct?
Stand us to that form.
Would you agree that in point of fact, a mirror image video is not a true and accurate depiction of what's depicted in a scene?
I think it just is a mirror image of what's taking place. If you see someone walking in or driving a vehicle and it's depicting the action of the vehicle being pulled in, and if it's mirrored, it's pulling in from left to right or right to left. It's still documenting the activity that's taking place.
Or if someone walks to the left rear of the vehicle versus the right rear of the vehicle, those two things will be switched, correct?
That is correct, yes.
And you'll agree that the prior video that we showed, that you and I just talked about, the inverted video, appeared for all intents and purposes to show Michael Proctor stay away from the left, from the right rear taillight, walk all the way around and position himself to the left rear taillight. You'd agree with that, correct?
Objection.
Do you agree with that? I'll allow it.
It appeared that that is what was happening, but he was standing next to the taillight that was already damaged.
But in the corrected video, which is this one, it actually shows unequivocally that Michael Proctor walked directly to the right rear taillight portion of this SUV. Correct?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Sure. In the corrected video, this video here, this unequivocally shows that Michael Proctor walked toward the right rear area of that SUV, where the right taillight is, correct?
Yes.
And you'll also agree that this video was taken before any taillight material was ever found at 34 Fairview, correct?
Can you zoom in on the time?
Not on this one, this is backwards.
I know that the SUV pulled into the garage, the Sally Port, at 5:35, and we were still on scene at 5:51, almost 52. So, yes, if that's timestamp before 5:51, before we left Canton PD, then yes, taillight pieces had already been found.
So 5:35, 5:37 is before the first taillight pieces were found. Right.
I'd have to see a timestamp of when they were exactly found, but if
Well, let me
that,
ask it a different way.
Hmm.
5:37, 5:35 is before 5:45.
yes.
May I have just a moment, Your Honor? Sergeant, Canton PD is about a mile and a half from 34 Fairview, is that right?
Approximately. I don't know the exact distance. I never measured it, but I would not be shocked if you were accurate in that.
Maybe a 3 or 4 minute drive.
Depending on the traffic conditions and the weather conditions, that could be a possibility, depending on the speed you travel.
I'm sorry. Your Honor, I have a photograph that I'd like to have marked with the court's permission. If I may approach.
Marked for identification.
Marked for identification for the time being.
Okay.
May I approach?
Yes. Let's mark it first, please.
Thank you. Let me take a look.
Thank you. Let me ask you a couple of other questions. We just looked at the videos of the interior of the Sally Port. Harkening back to what we just looked at, the corrected video, there would also be a camera on the other side of that Sally Port garage pointing down toward the right rear taillight area of the SUV, correct?
Yes.
There's a camera situated on the opposite side. We'd be looking at that camera, correct?
Yes.
Okay, taking a look at that photograph, I know the quality of it, but can you tell if that appears to be a still image from that camera?
Yes, it appears to be a still image from that video camera.
I'd ask that this be moved into evidence, Your Honor.
Is there an objection?
No objection, thank you.
Thank you. If we could display this for the jurors, Your Honor, just the photograph.
Okay.
Do you see what's depicted? I know the photograph that you're holding is very poor quality. It's a little easier with this lighting. Do you recognize what's depicted in this photograph?
I'm sorry, your laser was bouncing off on the ceiling. I
I was trying to
apologize.
make it easier for you.
Yeah.
This photograph here.
That appears to be the seized SUV belonging to the defendant with it being situated inside the Sallyport.
And what is that vehicle there?
It's an antique police cruiser.
And who is this person?
I do not know who that is.
Does that look like Michael Proctor?
I don't know. I'd have to get a zoom in. I don't know.
Would that be, does he have glasses on?
I don't know.
Would it be Chief Berkowitz?
It could be Chief Berkowitz. I don't know.
Can you tell me the date that's on the time, the date and timestamp at the bottom?
I cannot. I think I might be able to make it out in the actual photograph you printed out. Could I
Okay.
take a look at that?
Sure.
Need the light?
Yes, please, Your Honor. It appears the time is 11:08 and 59 seconds in the morning of possibly January 30th of 2022.
Okay. Let's go ahead and pull this back out full frame.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you, do you have a point of reference? Does that appear to be the interior camera facing the other direction where the SUV was depicted in the Sallyport earlier?
It's the opposite of what we had viewed earlier, diagonally across, I believe.
So this would be the right rear of the vehicle, correct?
That is correct.
Now I'd like to ask you to take a look at a video. Now that we have that point of reference, you want to have a final video. I can have that marked as next in order, Your Honor.
As next in order, so there's no objection, Mr. Brennan?
I have no objection to that being entered now.
121.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, could we
Yes.
present this? Go ahead and play it. Pause. Can you make out, now that that's paused, can you make out what's depicted toward the top of the screen?
Yes, it appears to be a distorted image of that antique police cruiser.
Okay. And does the area next to the police cruiser appear to be empty? Some snow on the ground?
Yes, it does. Actually, yes, it does look that way. Yes.
Okay. So there's nothing next to the police cruiser, at least at this point, correct?
That's what it appears to be. Yes.
Can we take a look at the timestamp on this document or on this frame? I'd ask you to let the jurors know if you can see what the actual run time is on this.
I could see the timestamp. I don't know the runtime, what it's going to be.
It's 5:07:10 or 12, something like that.
That's the
5:07.
timestamp. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. PM.
Now, if we could just play this forward, go back to full screen. Pause. Now, how many seconds would you estimate, just in your head, just went by in real time?
Approximately 5 seconds.
Okay. Do you see something in the video now?
Yes.
What is that?
It appears to be the seized Lexus SUV.
And now let's look at the timestamp. What time is that?
5:47 p.m.
So in about, according to your testimony, in about 5 seconds, the time jumped from before the SUV was in the Sallyport to about 5:50 p.m. after the SUV had already arrived and is now situated in the Sallyport, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
The time frame that we just saw earlier of about 5:35, 5:36 or so, with you and, I'm sorry, with the tow truck driver and Michael Proctor in the video. That is not in this video. It's not captured in this video. Was it?
It did not present itself, no.
That's all I have now.
Mr. Brennan?
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
You had just asked questions about some of the video footage from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area. Is that fair to say?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you further questions about that. In your investigation, did you obtain camera footage from a number of different angles from the Canton Police Department Sallyport area?
I did.
And one of those series of footages, did that include the interior Sallyport back wall for January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
Is that the video that appears inverted? And then we saw the second where it was present as you would see it?
Yes, sir.
Did you look at that video? Did you invert the video in any way?
No, I did not.
Did you investigate and learn whether or not there was any other video in addition to that interior Sallyport back wall where video was set up by the town of Canton that appears inverted rather than forward?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
Yes, the investigation revealed that multiple cameras had a lens applied to it that was inverted.
In addition to the Canton Police Department Sallyport interior back wall, where else did you learn around town there was video that appears inverted?
I believe it is inside the Canton PD, the hallways possibly. And if I am not mistaken, the other locations within the town of Canton. And the,
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask the question. No, is that your answer? Is that your final answer?
I wasn't finished, but yes.
May we approach briefly?
Hey, Mika girl. I ain't seen you in a while. Girl, everything is shaking up. So y'all gotta rewind it because they pulled me into a car. So wait a minute. They got Proctor on the camera damaging the daggone car? And it sounded like, I only heard a little bit of it, y'all, but it also sounded like they were saying that some footage was missing from the time that him and the snowplow guy had a meeting. And why y'all meeting in the Sallyport? What's going on there? I could be wrong, y'all, because I told y'all I don't know everything. I missed a little bit, but keep me honest over here. Yeah, yeah. Then they got me testing stuff like I'm some tester, baby. I don't test.
Jurors, I'm going to strike the portion of the answer that follows hallways of the Canton PD.
And sir, when you obtained the video from the interior Sallyport back wall, which was inverted, did you provide a copy of it?
Yes, I did.
When you looked at that video, does it have time and date stamps on it?
Yes, it does.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce a copy of that.
Exhibit 122.
When you provided the video for January 29, 2022 for that inverted video, did you do any further investigation to see if it was an anomaly that happened just on that date, or whether that was historically the way the video appeared?
I'll look into that matter, produced the fact that it's been recording that way previously to January 29th.
Why did you want to historically go back and see if it was historically the same way?
To show that it had not been manipulated or altered in any way, and it was accurately recording what was taking place on January 29th, 2022.
As part of the investigation, was there video taken from January 1st, 2022?
Yes.
And is that before January 29, 2022?
Yes, it is.
I'd like to approach and move to introduce this.
No objection.
Okay.
Exhibit 123.
Do you know how many cameras are inside the Sallyport?
I don't know exactly. I know that there's at the very least 2 inside the Sallyport.
You were shown a still photograph, not from the inverted video, but from a different video or a different camera.
Yes, sir.
Do you remember that photograph?
I do.
And you were asked about gaps in time.
Mhm.
Do you know what the health was of that camera around that time?
I do not know.
Did you obtain and look at video from that camera?
Yes.
May I approach?
Yes.
I'd like to introduce. I had you look at this before. Introduce it. Do you recognize what that is?
Yes, I do.
What is it?
It's a Sallyport videos, the original disc or thumb drive. I apologize, not disc.
Please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Okay.
Exhibit 124.
When you saw that dark photograph, you later saw a picture that was clearer, and you were asked questions about that. Do you know whether or not the video from that Sallyport area was clarified?
It was.
What does clarified mean?
It means it was enhanced to look clearer.
And that image you saw, was that a clarified photograph taken from the video that was not clarified?
It appears that way, yes.
Do you know who clarified the video?
I do not know.
May I approach?
Yes.
This down. Getting you a zip drive, you know what is on that?
Yes,
What is it?
it's Sallyport clarified video from the front wall.
Thank you. I moved into this as an exhibit.
No objection, Mr. Jackson?
Sorry, Your Honor, no objection.
Exhibit 125.
With the court's permission, could I play a portion of the clarified video for the jury?
Yes.
With Ms. Gilman's assistance, could you take us to the clarified video of the Sallyport? And could you take us to about 5:35? As Ms. Gilman searches, I have other questions I can proceed with.
Okay, we'll turn the light on again, please. Go ahead, thank you.
Did you obtain video of outside the Sallyport to show what time the tow truck arrived with the defendant's Lexus?
Yes, I did.
May I approach?
Yes.
Can you and I, do you recognize it?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's a disc containing CPD exterior Sallyport video.
Move to introduce this, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
Exhibit 126.
Similarly, did you obtain video from the front driveway of the Canton Police Department depicting the arrival of the defendant's Lexus?
Yes.
May I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes.
Hand you another item. Do you recognize this, sir?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's Canton PD driveway video.
And is this a copy of the video you obtained?
Yes, it is.
I would move this into evidence.
No objection.
Exhibit 127.
Do you recall when you arrived with the defendant's Lexus on January 29, 2022, what time you reached the Sallyport?
To the best of my recollection, it was 5:35 p.m. is when the vehicle was placed into the Sallyport.
When you left Dayton after the tow truck lifted the defendant's Lexus and put it on the tow truck, did you follow the tow truck back to Canton?
Yes, I did.
Did the tow truck stop at any point between Dayton and Canton Police Department?
Other than red traffic lights, no.
When you were following, how were you following the tow truck?
I was keeping a safe distance, always keeping line of sight behind the vehicle. I was following it from Dayton residence all the way to Canton PD.
Was Michael Proctor with you in your truck?
Yes, he was.
Did you take any detours on your trip back to the Canton Police Department?
No, we followed the truck driver. He led the way.
At any point, did you take any turns to Fairview Road?
No,
Did you know whether or not there was a CERT team at Fairview Road searching while you were driving back to the Canton Police Department?
I knew one was dispatched, yes.
Did you go to Fairview Road to speak to any of the CERT team members?
No,
Did you watch the CERT team members conduct their search?
no, I did not.
In any way, did you, at any point during that search, see it happening?
No, I did not, no.
When the CERT team members were there, do you remember that they arrived at 4:54 and 4:56?
I don't have a specific memory, but I know that they arrived sometime between that hour.
When you arrived at the Sallyport, at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus, what was your understanding of where the CERT team was?
My understanding was they were at 34 Fairview.
When you first arrived around 5:37 at the Canton Police Department, were any members of the CERT team at the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
I'll allow it. Lay a foundation.
Now, I asked you, do you remember about what time you got back to the Canton Police Department? Do you know specifically what time you got back?
I know we pulled in to the driveway at 5:30 p.m.
And did you see some of the timestamps that you were shown on cross-examination?
Yes,
Did you see the timestamp 5:37:18 when it was shown to you by the defense?
yes.
At that time, when you were arriving and bringing the defendant's Lexus into the Sallyport, was there any CERT team members at the Canton Police Department?
No,
Were there any troopers who were speaking to you or receiving items or evidence from you or Trooper Proctor?
absolutely not.
Was there any items exchanged between you and or Trooper Proctor and anybody else for that matter that you saw?
No,
While you were at the Canton Police Department in the Sallyport area, do you remember how long you stayed in that area?
approximately 15, 20 minutes.
And so you were asked when the first items were found at Fairview Road. Do you remember that it was around 5:45?
Yes,
So at the time those items were first found at Fairview Road, where were you and Michael Proctor?
at Canton Police Department.
When you were at the Canton Police Department and you had brought the Lexus back, did you ever see Michael Proctor leave the Canton Police Department without you?
No,
You ever see him hop in a car and take a drive,
no,
a 3-minute drive or a 4-minute drive?
no,
Did you ever see him leave for a 6-minute, 7-minute trip?
Objection, Your Honor.
You've made your point. Next question.
When you were at the Canton Police Department, were you separate or with Michael Proctor?
we were together. Not obviously tied at the hip, but we were within eyesight, traveling together.
After you left the Sallyport area, did you and Michael Proctor immediately leave the Canton Police Department?
No, we stuck around.
Why did you stick around at the Canton Police Department?
To make sure that evidence was properly being protected with yellow tape around it. And we were making plans to go get dinner.
When you were making plans, did you go anywhere else in the police department after you left the Sallyport area?
Yes, I believe we went to the conference room.
Was there anybody else that you saw in the police department when you went to the conference room with Mr. Proctor?
I remember talking to Chief Berkowitz in the police department. We were in the dispatch area at one point in time as well. So there was multiple people that observed us there.
At any point, did you give any items to Chief Berkowitz?
No,
At any point, did you ever see Michael Proctor hand or give an item to Chief Berkowitz?
absolutely not.
You said Michael Proctor had a folder with him.
Yes,
Is that typical in an investigation?
yes.
Did you ever see him place taillight or any item in that folder?
No, that would be absurd.
Did you ever see him retrieve an item or taillight pieces and give it or sneak it over to Chief Berkowitz?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask it differently.
Did you ever see Michael Proctor ever hand any piece of taillight to Chief Berkowitz or any other officer for that matter?
No,
The entire time you were there, did either you or Michael Proctor, from what you saw, provide any items, physical items, to anybody else that was there?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow that.
no, we did not.
Approach.
May I?
Yes.
At any point from when you first arrived at the Canton Police Department with the defendant's Lexus to the point when you left to go to dinner or to get something to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever provide any physical item to anybody at the Canton Police Department?
No, other than dropping off the vehicle itself, we did not exchange anything.
Oh, don't say we, I'm just asking for you. Now I'm going to ask you, at any point when you got to the Canton Police Department until you left to go to eat with Michael Proctor, did you ever see him hand any physical item to any other person whatsoever?
No, I did not.
And after, do you know about what time you and Michael Proctor left the Canton Police Department?
I would have to estimate it to be around 6, maybe well after 6.
And at the point you left, do you know how many of the items had been found by the CERT team at 34 Fairview Road at the time you left the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
When you left with Michael Proctor, where did you go?
I went to Norwood, Massachusetts.
Is that where you ate?
Yes.
When you left and then arrived in Norwood, did you stop along the way at any other place, including but not limited to 34 Fairview Road?
I did not.
Did you eat?
Yes.
After you ate, where did you go?
Back to Canton Police Department.
Why?
We were having a debrief for that day on the investigation so that everybody could get on a good understanding of what had been learned, what had been collected, and where the investigation stood, and to assign tasks on the next steps.
Who were you meeting at the Canton Police Department when you returned?
It was the Detective Lieutenant Tully, members of the Norfolk SPDU.
Do you know at about time you returned to the Canton Police Department?
I want to say it was after 7:30, but I'm not positive.
When you left the place that you and Mr. Proctor ate at and returned to the Canton Police Department, did you take a swing by Fairview Road?
No.
Did you stop anywhere from the point you left where you ate and came back to the Canton Police Department?
No, sir.
When you came back to the Canton Police Department, did you get debriefed?
Yes.
Did you learn whether or not the CERT team had found any physical items at Fairview Road?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow that.
Yes, I did.
Did they give you any details about what they had found at Fairview Road during the CERT team search?
Objection.
I'm going to allow that.
I learned that
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to allow this.
the second sneaker was located. Also, a large piece of red taillight was also located.
After you were debriefed, did you leave the Canton Police Department?
Yes.
Who did you leave with, if anybody?
It was myself, Trooper Proctor, and Trooper Keefe, I believe.
When you left the Canton Police Department, do you know what time that was?
I do not, but I would have to estimate to be around 8 o'clock, maybe 8:15.
Did you leave alone?
I was in my truck, yes.
Did you
So,
see
Mr.
where
Brennan,
Mike?
what I'm going to do is just interrupt you for a minute. Folks, a couple of minutes ago, when Sergeant Buchanan testified as to what he learned at the debriefing, that's not offered to you for the truth of what he said was learned, but only so you understand that the police, what Sergeant Buchanan and the police knowledge was at the time that it was told. Go ahead, Mr. Brennan.
Thank you. When you drove away, were you alone?
Yes.
Okay. When the Lexus was brought to the Sally Port, did you have a chance to again look at that right rear taillight?
Yes.
And did you make observations of it?
Yes.
was the right rear tail light. Which photo is the right rear tail light? Find that one. The right rear tail light. While you were at the Canton Police Department and in the Sallyport area, did you ever see anybody take a piece or in any way remove part of that broken taillight from the Lexus?
No, I did not.
If you had, what would have you done?
Objection.
Assisting.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes. Show Mr. Jackson.
Could I have Exhibit 13 displayed, please?
Okay.
Could you zoom in a little, please, Ms. Gilman? Do you recognize that photo?
I do.
What do you recognize it as?
I recognize it as the damaged and missing pieces of the right rear taillight on the defendant's Lexus SUV.
When the Lexus was brought into the Sallyport, was there still snow on it?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow on it that covered parts of the vehicle?
Yes, there was.
Was there any snow in that area
Currently, no.
when you first brought it into the Sallyport?
I'm sorry, in the area of the vehicle?
No, the area of that taillight.
Yes, there was, yes.
How close did you get to take a look at that?
I was within a foot of it.
Is that a fair and accurate depiction of what you saw?
Yes, it is.
From what you saw, was the damage you saw when you looked at the car for the first time in the Sallyport area any different than the damage that appears on this Exhibit 13?
It is not.
As part of your investigation, did you look for, you can take that down, please, and lights on, thank you. Did you look for other evidence that the taillight was broken before it came into the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to view the ring video from Meadows Road at 5:07 in the morning?
Yes, I did.
And when you looked at that, did you have an opportunity to look at the defendant's Lexus backing up and then leaving that driveway?
Yes, I did.
Did you have a chance to see if there was any evidence?
Yes, I did.
And what did you see that stood out to you about the taillight?
The taillight is shining white and not covered by a red taillight cover, which would have produced a red light.
Did you further look at any video from the Canton Police Department dash cams to get a view of that taillight and determine whether it was broken before it was even brought to the Sallyport area?
Yes, I did.
And did you in fact look at video or still photographs from the Canton Police Department dash cam?
Yes, I did.
Could I have Exhibit 11 displayed, please? And during your investigation, when you were making this analysis, did you view this photo?
Yes, I did.
Did you make any particular reference or anything that caught your attention in this video?
Yes, the right rear taillight of the Lexus SUV is missing the red lens cover, and it is damaged.
You mentioned the observations. You can take that down, please. You mentioned your observations when you got to Dighton about what you saw relative to the taillight. And then at some point, video was provided of the tow.
Yes,
Did you study that video as well?
yes, I did.
And did you see anything in particular when you were making these determinations that stood out about the video of the Lexus being put onto that tow truck relative to the taillight?
Yes, the video indicated that there was white light coming through, exposing the missing red right rear tail light cover.
You told us on direct examination you've watched a number of videos and interviews of the defendant.
Yes,
Without getting into the content, did you watch any videos where the defendant talks about the broken taillight prior to the sally port?
Objection, Your Honor.
Not foremost, sustained.
Did you listen to any interviews of the defendant relative to the taillight?
yes,
Now, I want to go back and I want you to take us through your investigation. And I want to be specific about what you learned and when and what you did with that information relative to the decisions and the direction of your investigation. When you were called on the morning of January 29, 2022, when you first got a call, where were you?
I was at home in bed.
You mentioned that after you received the call, you called another trooper at that time.
Yes, sir.
And who was that?
Michael Proctor.
After you spoke to Michael Proctor, did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened prior?
No, I did not.
Did you have any firsthand knowledge about what had happened the night before?
I did not. No,
Did you have any firsthand knowledge about the participants or the people that may or may not have been involved?
I did not. No,
Did you at that point know, or were you friendly with Brian Albert?
I knew who he was. I was not friendly with him. I did not know who he was.
Had you ever socialized with him?
No,
Nicole Albert,
No.
were you friendly or ever socialized with her?
no, I've never.
Jennifer McCabe, did you know who she was or socialize with her?
No, I did not.
Her husband, Matthew McCabe, did you know him or socialize with him?
No,
How about Julie Nagel? Did you know who she was or had you socialized with her?
no, I did not.
Ryan Nagel, is that name, was that familiar to you?
No, it's not.
Sarah Levinson, did you know that person?
I did not.
You mentioned that you knew who Brian Higgins was,
Yes,
and you had worked on a case or some involvement in a case with him.
yes,
Did you owe him any particular favor or kindness at that time?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll sustain it.
Did you have any loyalty or friendship with him?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I did not. No.
At this point, you were how far into your career as a Massachusetts State Police officer?
In 2022, I was approximately 10 years in.
And you had been honorably discharged from the military,
Yes, I was.
served the president?
Yes,
And so at this point, how about Heather Maxon? Did you know that name?
I did not know.
When you first received the call, did you have any firsthand knowledge whatsoever?
No, just what I was told over the phone.
You mentioned you went to the Canton Police Department first and spoke to Canton police officers.
Yes,
Was it at that point you learned about a physical item that was found at the scene?
Objection, Your Honor.
Sustain.
What did you learn from them that was important in your investigation when you first got to the Canton Police Department?
I learned that there was a broken, shattered cocktail glass that was recovered from near where Mr. O'Keefe was found. And also his phone was underneath him at the scene.
And were both those items available to you?
Yes,
Did you also learn any statements made from any witnesses that were attributed to the defendant at that time?
yes.
And what was the statements?
At that point in time, while at the Canton Police Department, the statements were, "Oh my God, did I hit him? Did I hit him?"
In a question format, questioning.
Yes,
And based on that information, was it somewhere around that point when you called the hospital or medical examiner's office?
yes. I made a call to the medical examiner's office.
Was that all the information you learned that morning?
No, it's not.
After you learned that information, did you ask the police officers? Well, let me ask it this way. After you learned that information, did you want to go somewhere?
Yes, I did.
Where did you want to go?
I wanted to interview the individuals that were with the defendant when Mr. O'Keefe was located and get their accurate and most first-person information from them directly.
Do you know whether or not, were they suspects at this point?
No, they were not.
Did you know whether they were eyewitnesses or differently witnesses?
At this point in time, prior to speaking to them, I just knew that they were eyewitnesses for the location of Mr. O'Keefe, but I did not know if they were eyewitnesses or witnesses.
And who did you speak to?
I spoke with Ms. Jennifer McCabe, Mr. McCabe, and Mr. Brian Albert.
When you spoke to them, did you separate them or speak to them as a group?
I separated them.
You went to whose house to speak to them?
The McCabe household.
Is it typical to go to a person's house rather than bring them to the station under these circumstances?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask it differently, Mr.
Why did you go to their house rather than ask them to come to the police station?
Well, there were multiple factors involved in that decision. One, the driving conditions. Two, these are witnesses that had suffered some sort of traumatic event finding their friend on the front lawn of their own town. So going to their home would provide hopefully a more comfortable scene for them to recall information in the comfort of their own home.
When you spoke to them, did you receive any information from any of them that Mr. O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview at any time that night?
No,
When you were asked questions about scene versus crime scene, was 34 Fairview, the home, the inside of the home, a crime scene in your mind?
no.
Was the area where Mr. O'Keefe found an important or unimportant area?
It's very important.
Did you know whether or not any of the Canton Police Department officers at that time had done any type of limited search of the area?
Objection.
Just whether you knew.
At that point in time, we did know, yes.
And what did you learn about the scope or the breadth of that search by the Canton Police Department?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
I knew that it was brief based on the weather conditions and the item that was recovered.
After you spoke to Jennifer McCabe, and did you say Brian Albert?
Jennifer McCabe, Matt McCabe, and Brian Albert.
At that point, did you have any reason to want to go into 34 Fairview?
No, I did not.
Did you learn whether or not Canton police officers spoke to those particular people who lived there before you got there?
I had learned, yes.
What did you learn?
I learned that Canton police officers went inside the home, spoke with members inside the home as well.
When you speak to witnesses, you've done many interviews over your
Yes,
career?
I have. Yes.
In addition to asking questions, what are you looking for when you speak to a witness?
We're looking for body language, how willing they are to provide the information. And as is with everyone, we always trust by verify. We corroborate their statements.
Did you see anything about these witnesses when you spoke to them that cued you or concerned you to do a further investigation?
Objection, Your Honor.
Ask it differently.
Was there anything about their mannerism or demeanor that stood out to you?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
No.
After speaking to the witnesses, in your mind as an investigator, what did you need to do next?
I needed to take a look at Mr. O'Keefe's injuries for myself.
And you share with us detail about when you went down to Good Samaritan Hospital and make observations.
Yes, sir.
On direct examination, I pointed out you're not a medical examiner, are you?
I am not, no.
Not a biomechanical engineer.
I am not, no.
In your experience, when you looked at Mr. O'Keefe and had a chance to study his body, what impression did that leave with you with relative to your investigation?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
At that point in time, after viewing Mr. O'Keefe's injuries, my impression shifted from him possibly being struck with the glass that was located at the scene where he was found to him being struck by a vehicle.
Why?
Due to the abrasions and cuts on his right arm and the amount of force, in my experience, the amount of force one would have to generate to produce the wound to his head.
Objection.
I'm going to strike that last part.
After coming to the conclusion, or strike that, after making your observations and your determination, did your focus shift at that point?
Yes, it did.
Where did you want to go next?
I wanted to observe the vehicle that the defendant was driving.
What were you going to be looking for?
Any damage to the headlights, windshield, and other parts of the vehicle that would have come into contact with Mr. O'Keefe.
You mentioned the windshield and the headlights. Those are in the front of the car. Did you have an impression at that point?
Yes, majority of the cases that I had exposure to with pedestrian vehicle strikes, the strike comes from the front of the vehicle. So in my assumption, speculation at that point in time, based on the limited information I had, that was my theory.
When you got to Dighton, did that theory change?
Prior to our arrival to Dighton, the theory had changed.
Based on information you received from Jennifer McCabe?
Objection.
Sustained.
What was that based on?
It was based on information I received from Jennifer McCabe's phone conversation.
And what was that information?
That the defendant told her that she had damaged her taillight and showed Mrs. McCabe and Mrs. Roberts the missing pieces and damage to the rear right taillight of her vehicle.
When you got to Dighton and had a chance to look at the defendant's Lexus, did your focus of your investigation develop in any way?
Yes, seeing for myself that there was actual damage, coupled with the statements made, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Along with the my observation, obviously, of the vehicle, my focus began to concentrate on the defendant.
You share with us that you went inside and spoke to the defendant.
Yes.
Why did you speak to her at her home rather than ask her or force her to come to the police station?
Same reasons we interviewed the witnesses, the driving conditions, the time that it would take for her to respond, the comfort of her own home or her parents' home, where she had just experienced a very traumatic event, being concerned for her well-being. We interviewed her in the comfort of her parents' couch.
When you interviewed her in her parents' home, where was she seated?
On the couch of her parents' living room.
Where was her mother?
She was in the home. I don't have a specific memory of her being in the room with us, but her father was in the room with us.
Did you ever try to separate the defendant from her father when you interviewed her?
Objection.
We can approach.
Sorry, y'all. I'm listening while I work out. And good Lord, he sure do remember a lot to not remember enough, D-Wood. He don't know which way is up. I can't tell you. I don't know why this is important, but it definitely seems like Karen was willing to interview with you because it seemed like baby girl ain't had nothing to hide. But you out here rolling around to everybody's house that Proctor basically told you to go to. You ain't really do no damn investigation. You did whatever your subordinate said do. Yeah, I'm working out. I gotta get my another sidebar. I gotta get my life together. D Wood. Last week I was having a bad week. I went through 3 pints of ice cream, y'all. I said, yeah, I gotta pull myself together. So I'm working out. Today is just full body strengthening day. So I'm gonna do I did my warm up. I did a set of squats. I did push-ups. I'm on my planks now. I'm gonna do some glute bridges, some bicycle crunches, and then I'm gonna do a cool down. That's gonna be it for today. Now tomorrow it's a cardio day, cardio and core day. So I'm actually gonna go into the gym. So I may end our live during lunch, depending on what lunch break look like tomorrow. Go run up to the gym, do my cardio, and then come back. So, because I want to do that.
Bless you.
Right ahead.
Thank you. Trooper, to get back to my question, when you decided to speak to the defendant, did you ask her father to leave the room?
I did not know.
Why not?
We just simply wanted to get her recollection. Her father did not pose a safety risk to us. He was not present, to the best of our knowledge at the time when Mr. O'Keefe was injured. So him leaving the room just didn't appear necessary. Again, my concern was for her well-being, having known that she was sectioned, and we wanted to make sure it was a safe and comfortable environment for her to do the best she could to tell us what she remembered.
What was her demeanor when you spoke to her?
She was calm, stoic. She was sitting on the couch with a pillow on her lap, a laptop to her left. She was, I guess, maybe poised when she was answering our questions.
When you finished your conversation with the defendant, had anybody in that home ever mentioned the idea of whether or not John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview that night?
No.
When you went outside to get in your truck and follow the tow truck back to Canton, did you have any information whatsoever that there was any animus or animosity between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe?
No.
After speaking to witnesses and the defendant at that point, when you got back into your truck to go to Canton, did you have any information that there was any animosity between Brian Albert and John O'Keefe?
No.
We've already talked about, out of order, your return back to Canton, the Sallyport, and then you and Mr. Proctor going out to dinner and going back. So I'm going to skip all of that. After you went home that night, did your investigation continue?
Yes.
How long do investigations continue for?
Until they are completed and exhausted, sometimes years, sometimes decades.
If you were to receive new information tomorrow, would you consider it?
Absolutely.
Sustained.
When you write police reports, is there a time limit on when you can file a report?
No.
Throughout this case, did you write a number of reports over time?
Yes.
Did you engage in tasks after the case began?
Yes.
Have you engaged in tasks recently?
Yes.
As you were investigating this case, did you speak to a number of witnesses?
Yes, I did.
Did you consider reports that were provided by other troopers who interviewed witnesses?
Yes.
Mr. Proctor was the case manager of this case.
Yes.
You were his supervisor.
Yes.
Were there other troopers who participated in this case?
Yes,
Do you know whether or not Lieutenant O'Hara participated in this case?
I do know.
You do know?
I do know
Did
that he
he?
participated, yes.
Did he?
Yes,
Do you know if he had a team with him of other troopers?
yes,
Do you know if Trooper Prince engaged in any interviews?
I do know, yes.
Are you familiar with the name Nick Gianturco? Garino, I saw it.
Yes, I am.
And do you know if he engaged in any tasks in this case?
I do know, yes.
What did he engage in generally?
He generally conducted the digital forensics portion of the investigation, extractions.
Trooper Keefe, is that a name familiar?
Yes, it is.
And do you know whether or not he was involved?
Yes, I do know.
Were there a number of other troopers who were involved in different aspects of this case?
Yes, there are a number of different ones.
Trooper Evan Brent?
Yes.
Did you look or seek other information after you left the defendant's house?
Yes.
Did you look for other witness statements?
Yes.
Did you try to obtain further evidence?
Yes, we did.
Was there an interview with firefighter Timothy Nuttall on February 8th?
Yes, there was.
And that was about 10 days after the incident.
Approximately, yes.
Did you learn any statements from him in addition to the earlier statements you learned that added to your investigation?
Yes.
I'm going to allow it.
And do you remember what Timothy Nuttall told you on February 8th, 2022 about any statements of the defendant?
Objection.
So folks, again, this is being offered not for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided to the police.
Yes, Mr. Nuttall was one of three, I believe,
Objection.
So talk about Mr. Nuttall, please.
Mr. Nuttall told me that the defendant stated, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Was that information different than the statements that you were first learned about that she had allegedly made earlier that night?
Yes, it was.
Did you interview firefighter Daniel Whitley on February 8th, 2022?
I did.
When you spoke to him, do you remember whether he shared any statements about the defendant telling him anything about her interaction with Mr. O'Keefe at the end of that night?
I believe that he stated that they got into a fight.
Do you remember the words that he used when he described that fight?
I do not remember the exact words. Those will be reflected in my police report,
Would your police report potentially refresh your recollection?
potentially.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Handing you a document, I do not want you to read from it. I
Okay.
want you to look at it, determine whether it refreshes your memory, and then I'll ask you if it refreshes your memory. If it does, I'll ask you about it. If it doesn't, then I won't.
Okay, sir.
After reviewing the report, does it refresh your memory about your conversation with Daniel Whitley on February 8, 2022, about statements made by the defendant to him?
Yes.
And could you share with us what the statements were as related by Mr. Whitley back on February 8, 2022?
The statement was,
Objection, Your Honor.
Again, jurors, this is an offer for the truth that's contained in the statement, simply to show that this information was provided to the police.
the defendant made a statement questioning whether Mr. O'Keefe was still alive.
And anything about the nature of their disagreement?
Mr. O'Keefe and the defendant got into an argument.
Objection.
So for this, the same purpose.
As you're learning this information, does it in any way shape your continued investigation?
Yes, it further supports witness statements. It further supports and corroborates information that we're learning. The more information we collect, the stronger the case becomes.
Did you interview a person by the name of Anthony Flamate?
Yes, I did.
And when you spoke to him, do you recall whether he shared any statements that the defendant made to him?
Objection.
Yes.
And do you recall what those statements were?
I do have a general recollection of what they were, but
I don't want you to guess. Would your report potentially help your memory?
yes, it would.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Same protocol that I mentioned before. Take a look, see if it refreshes your memory. If it does not, let me know. If it does, I'll then ask you some questions about it. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
After looking at your report, does that refresh your memory at all?
Yes, it does.
And when you were learning information to shape your investigation, did you consider anything that Anthony Flamati told you?
Yes, we did.
Okay. And what did he tell you that the defendant told him that helped shape your investigation?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'm going to see counsel at sidebar for just a minute here on this one.
All right, y'all. I'm in cool down session. Brennan wasting time. His testimony has already gone to hell and back. There's nothing he can do to rehabilitate that witness. It's time for us to get on with the show. This guy has been on the stand for 2 days. I doubt that Bev is gonna let him call another witness to the stand, so I'm guessing he's just prolonging at this point. Yeah, I'm guessing they just prolonging at this point because today about to be over. Woo. gotta do my cool down. I'll find me a good one on YouTube to do, which is interesting, y'all, because I actually do my own workout. But I get my warm ups and my cool downs. I get my warm up and my cool down from I get it from YouTube. Give me a nice little cool. Like,
In addition to trying to get or obtain information about statements of the defendant, was there physical evidence that was important?
Yes.
Was there any data evidence that any of the team from the Massachusetts State Police, were you aware of them pursuing any data type evidence?
Yes, there was.
Was there some phones involved?
Yes, there were.
What phones did you understand or pursue that you thought might be helpful for your investigation?
For one, Mr. O'Keefe's phone was a device that we were looking into. We also had seized the defendant's phone and were attempting to access that device. There was other digital information that we were seeking as well.
Was the potential data from the defendant's Lexus important to the team of investigators?
Extremely important.
And did any of your team or the team pursue that black box, so-called black box data?
Yes, we did.
You were asked whether you interviewed or present for interviews of Nicole and Brian Albert.
Yes.
And after you spoke to them, including and considering all of the prior information you had, was there any evidence that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road on January 29, 2024?
There was not.
Relative to the information that could be stored in the computer systems on a Lexus, do you know which troopers, or do you know if Trooper Garino was involved in any process regarding that?
Yes, I do know. And yes, he was involved in conducting that portion of the investigation.
As part of the investigation, was it important or was it considered to look at John O'Keefe's phone to see if there was any specific or particular information on it that would be helpful?
Yes, it would be.
What were you looking for? What was the team looking for on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
Well, the all-encompassing data includes location of the device. It includes communication, the party's identity with whom an individual could possibly be communicating. In this case, Mr. O'Keefe, his text messages, phone calls, emails, other applications like Signal and WhatsApp could have been also in use.
How about voicemails?
Voicemails, yes.
Did you ever review or consider any of those things that you just mentioned in your investigation?
Yes, I did.
Speaking of interviewing witnesses, did you, along with Michael Proctor, interview Katie McLaughlin on January 30th, 2022?
Yes, I did.
Was this the very next day?
Yes, it is.
And as part of your investigation and the direction and scope of your investigation, did you consider the interview with her and what she might have told you?
Yes, it
And when
was.
you were speaking with her the very next day, is there any statements that she attributed to the defendant that you considered in the next days of your investigation?
Yes, there was.
Did you remember what she told you the defendant said that was part of your consideration for your future investigation?
Yes, I hit him.
I'm going to allow it. Oh, remember that the statement is not being offered for the truth of the statement, but simply to show that the information was provided.
Did the statement that Katie McLaughlin attributed to the defendant that very next day, January 30th, 2022, did that shape your investigation at all?
It helps attribute to the investigation. Again, all the evidence, all the statements, all the digital, all the circumstantial, all of that information is coupled and then put together, capped off by the defendant's statements herself to form the case.
There were questions about a plow driver by the name of Brian Loughran. When did you first hear or learn of that name?
It was quite some time after the case had made its way through the court system.
When you learned of his name, did you attempt to speak to him?
Yes.
And before you spoke to him, were there any issues you identified relative to Mr. Loughran before you actually spoke to him?
In regards to him, no, I didn't know him. I've never met him.
Did you, in fact, speak to him and interview him?
Yes, I did.
Was that interview, did anybody attend that interview with you?
Yes.
It was asked whether or not there was a car that was seen. And that was what type of car?
Ford Edge.
Was he specifically asked whether or not that was a Ford Edge owned by the Albert family?
In our interview?
Yes.
I don't remember specifically, but it is along the line of questions that would have been in my report and transcription of the audio recording.
In one last interview, did you speak to Brian Albert Jr.? Or did you consider a report of his interview?
I saw a report and
Did you
considered.
attend that interview?
I did not know.
What did you understand his relevance to be in your investigation?
He was at the home, at his parents' home, when some of his relatives and parents' friends came back to 34 Fairview.
And after you considered that interview, did it change your perspective of knowledge about whether anybody had suggested that John O'Keefe went into 34 Fairview Road that night?
No, it did not, no.
When I asked you questions earlier on in the case, days ago now, we went through a number of pieces of evidence that was found at different times at 34 Fairview Road. Do you remember those questions and going through that process?
I do remember, yes.
When we went through that process, were there any items that I did not ask you about?
Yes, there were.
And the items I did not ask you about, were they retrieved or found on different dates?
Yes, they did. They were, yes.
And the items that I did not ask you about on those different dates, do you remember how many different dates other items were found?
I want to say 3 different dates.
And on those other items I didn't ask you about, who recovered those items of evidence from 34 Fairview Road?
Michael Proctor.
Were you with Michael Proctor on any of those 3 dates when he turned in or reported the recovery of other evidence at 34 Fairview Road?
I was not, no.
And do you understand whether anybody was with him on those 3 dates?
Objection.
I'll allow that.
My understanding that nobody else was with him.
And I did not ask you about any of those pieces of evidence?
No, you did not, no.
On cross-examination, you were asked about those 3 pieces of evidence?
Yes, I was.
Were you shown what are now exhibits containing pictures and a photograph of the bags in which those items were bagged?
Yes, I was.
Do you have those physical pieces of evidence?
I do.
Now I'd like to ask you about those 3 pieces of evidence. Was there evidence produced from February 8th, 2022?
There was.
Who produced that evidence?
I was Michael Proctor who recovered it.
And you were not there that date when he recovered the items?
I was not, no.
I'd ask you to retrieve 7-13, the items that were found on February 8th, 2022.
Yes, sir.
Do you have gloves?
I do. Seven 13.
All right, move to introduce this into evidence.
No objection.
Exhibit 128.
Can you describe what is in that bag? And if necessary, you should open it and show it to the jury.
The description is 1 large piece of plastic, red in color, 1 small piece of red plastic, and 1 piece of black plastic. I will open it to further show. This one's labeled 22-02-184-7-13 as the bag. And this is letter number, or a letter labeled A as an alpha.
Could you again tell us the date that was recovered?
This was recovered on February 8th, 2022. This appears to be a black piece of plastic, same identifying numbers, but this one is labeled with the letter B as in Bravo. This small piece of red plastic is not labeled.
Thank you. You mentioned this was on February 8th, 2022. Earlier in, are you done with that package?
Yes.
Earlier in your testimony, you had shared that you went back to 34 Fairview on February 10th, 2022.
Yes, I did.
And on that date, you recovered pieces of taillight.
Yes, I did.
At that point, on February 10th, 2 days after that February 8th production, was there still any snow on the ground at 34 Fairview?
Yes, there was still snow on the ground. Obviously not in the amount that was there the first day.
The second production from Mr. Proctor, do you know what date that was?
Don't hold me to it. I want to say the 11th of February.
And did you bring 7-14 and 7-15 with you?
Yes, I did.
Could you produce those, please? Let's take one at a time, please.
7:14 and 7:15.
Let's start with 7-14. I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection.
Exhibit 129.
Thank you.
Regarding 7-14, can you show us what Mr. Proctor found on February 11th, 2022?
Yes, sir. It appears to be a variety of wax, like stamp bags, as well as plastic containers. And this is consistent with having glass in it, as it was earlier.
Does the packaging, it seems different than the other bags. Is there any reason you know of that the packaging is different?
It appears that these are small fragments of glass, so for safety reasons, it appears that they were placed into a hard containers to prevent injury or maybe possibly losing it.
Could you just hold up a few examples for the jury to see?
Yes. This one here is labeled 714 and then A. This here is B. This here is C. And then there's fragments in here.
You don't need to take them out, just
Okay.
describe them generally.
Small pieces of what appears to be glass inside the wax paper.
If you can rebag all that, we'll move to the next item.
Yes, sir. $7.15.
Please, I'd move 7-15 into evidence.
Mr. Jackson?
No objection.
Were 7-14 and 7-15 the two separate bags both found on February 11th, 2022?
I can confirm that as soon as I look back at the bag.
Exhibit 130.
Yes, February 11th.
If you could open that and show the jury.
Yes, sir. This item is labeled with the same limbs number, 715, and the letter A. This is two pieces of clear plastic that are taped together. The longer one here on the left is labeled H, and the one on the right is labeled F, if my eyes are not failing me. This is a canister labeled debris collection with the same numerical identifiers.
When would you use a canister as opposed to just putting it in a bag or a plastic bag? Is there a reason it's in a canister?
I do not know the reason behind it. I would strictly be speculating.
Thank
This small red piece of plastic is labeled E as in echo. There are more small pieces of that, similar to that size that I just showed, but
Very well. If you can rebag that. You mentioned there was 3 different days where Mr. Proctor found pieces of taillight at 34 Fairview. I'd like to go to that last day.
that would be the 18th, I believe, of February.
And do you have a bag?
I do.
Could you produce it, please? It's 7-16.
Yes, it is.
Do you have it?
I do.
I'd like to move that into evidence, please.
No objection, Your Honor.
$131.
Thank you.
If you could open it, please, for the jury.
Yes, sir. This one's labeled B. Here we have 3 red taillight pieces taped together. Appears to be mechanically fitting, labeled A, C, and D.
Do you typically label items?
No, no.
Do you know where those labels and the taping come from?
I believe that's from the crime lab. They identify each item according to their protocols to help them facilitate their portion of the investigation. Small clear piece of plastic labeled E as in echo. small piece of clear plastic labeled G as in golf. And another tin canister labeled piece of plastic.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
You earlier mentioned that the tow truck brought the defendant's Lexus to the Canton Sallyport. Do you know if there's a video depicting that arrival?
Yes, there is.
With the court's permission, I would like to play a portion of Exhibit 127.
Okay.
Have you seen that video before?
Yes, I have.
What does it depict?
It depicts a tow truck from Diamond Towing arriving at Canton Police Department, followed by my personal pickup truck that we're following the vehicle in.
That video, that's before the video of being in the Sallyport?
Yes, it is.
When you were considering the physical pieces of evidence as part of your investigation, were you considering the weather conditions that night?
Yes.
When you were evaluating pieces of physical evidence that were found at 34 Fairview, were you making any assessment about their location or depth or closeness to the ground when you were evaluating them?
Yes.
And why were you considering the closeness of items to the ground?
Well, common sense will dictate that if a item is found on the grass and there's snow covering it, that it would have to have been placed prior to the snow accumulating. If an item is shoved into the snow, it will be exposed as the snow melts prior to it reaching the ground level.
I'm going to ask you to, with the court's assistant, retrieve Exhibit 85. May I approach?
Yes.
I have to go over and get it.
You don't have it, I'm sorry.
I just right across.
My apologies.
No, no, it's okay. Sure.
Thank you.
I'll bring it.
You have some questions while we wait?
I can. When you retrieve pieces of taillight on February 3rd, did you consider their location, not only where on the lawn they were, but about the depth of where they were found?
Yes, I did.
And based on the items that you found on February 3rd, how close to the ground were they?
They were on the ground, or in the instance with the hat, it was frozen almost in a solid piece to the grass blades, to the ground.
And was that significant to you, how the hat was found?
Yes, it was.
I could have 99C. And could we now have 99D? Beneath the hat on the left side next to the ruler, what do you see?
Yellow grass and a leaf, I believe, a brown leaf.
Was that of importance to you?
Yes, it was.
I may approach, Your Honor.
Yes.
And if you could turn the lights on and take that down, please. Thank you, sir. I'm approaching with exhibit 85. Could you take the item out of the bag, please, sir?
Yes, sir.
Can you look at the back of the pants, please? As part of your investigation and the significance of the evidence, did you consider any debris on the back of the pants as part of your analysis?
Yes, the grass stains on the left,
Objection.
the appearance of the
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
the staining that's taken place or had taken place on these jeans was significant in the fact that it appears to be green and grass stain.
What did that suggest to you as part of your evaluation of your investigation and the decisions that you made after?
It suggests that Mr. O'Keefe impacted the grass area with his left glute, transferring green staining onto his pants.
Are you or do you know from your investigation the amount of snow that was on the ground at about 12:32:09 to 12:32:12 on January 29th of 2022?
Yes, based on my investigation and review of video from surveillance footage, it appears to be very little to a coating of snow in some areas.
You could repackage that for us, please?
Yes, sir.
Mr. O'Keefe's pants. I have just a few final questions for you, Trooper Buchanan.
Yes, sir.
You were asked questions about interviewing Brian Higgins,
Yes.
and you shared with us that he provided you a number of text messages between him and the defendant.
Yes.
You began to explain that you vet information during your investigation.
Yes, we do.
What did you tell him you were going to do with the messages he was giving you?
I explained to Mr. Higgins that we have in our custody and will eventually get into both the defendant's phone and Mr. O'Keefe's phone so that protect his integrity as a law enforcement official. I told him that the information he was providing better be true and accurate or else he would suffer the consequences of the ulterior.
Did you in fact vet what he gave you?
Yes.
And before you vetted it, did he make any changes, additions, or subtractions from that information?
No, he did not.
And when you vetted that information, was there anything different from the alternative source, that being the defendant's phone from his phone?
Not that I noticed, no.
Or that exhibit or that document has been marked for identification, I'd like to introduce it as an exhibit. Identification number is that? My apologies, I'll need to look, I don't know the number offhand.
I think the clerks might have it.
It's marked for identification.
No, it's actually marked. It was EE now.
Oh, it was introduced?
It was.
I didn't realize that this has been introduced as Exhibit 115. As part of your investigation, did you look to see if there was any animus or difficulty between Mr. Higgins and Mr. O'Keefe prior to Mr. O'Keefe's death?
Yes.
Did you look at text message records to see if there was any motive that was evidenced in those text messages for Mr. Higgins to want to murder Mr. O'Keefe?
I did look.
May I approach?
Yes.
I handed you a document. Do you recognize that package of materials?
Yes, I do.
And what is it?
It's the extraction printed out from Brian Higgins' phone, dated 2/3, meaning February 3rd, 2022. And it is a conversation between the defendant and Mr. Higgins.
Does it extend a number of different dates?
Yes, it does.
Did you look through those conversations or text messages to identify whether there was any animus or motive?
Yes, I did.
I'd move to introduce those documents as the next exhibit.
No objection, Your Honor.
Did you find any?
Hold on.
Exhibit 132.
Thank you. Trooper Buchanan, did you find any evidence in the conversation?
Hold on, I'm sorry. Proceed. Okay, thank you. Sorry, go ahead.
My apologies.
No, that's okay. So-
Trooper Buchanan, when you studied the materials, the conversation, communications between Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe, did you find any evidence shaping your investigation that there was a motive to harm, hurt, or murder Mr. O'Keefe by Mr. Higgins?
No, there was not.
I have no further questions at this time.
Thank you, Your Honor. If I may.
Sure.
You were just asked about Brian Higgins and your interview with Brian Higgins. Where did that take place?
In Sharon at an attorney's office.
At his lawyer's house, correct?
I'm not sure if he resides there, but it was an office.
With his lawyer present, correct?
Yes.
Did you find that unusual?
Objection.
Sustained.
He wasn't under arrest, correct?
No.
You hadn't read him his rights.
No need to know.
No need to, because it wasn't in custody, right?
Correct.
He was just a witness in a case that you were investigating.
That's correct.
But he asked that you interview him in his lawyer's presence. Right.
Yes.
You were asked about any evidence of Brian Higgins having a motive to murder John O'Keefe just a few minutes ago by Mr. Brennan, right?
Yes.
And you said, no, I didn't find a motive that Brian Higgins would want to murder John O'Keefe. Is that right?
That's right.
What about a motive to confront him about a girl he was interested in? Did you see that?
I believe the text messages speak for themselves. Everybody heard me read them out loud.
Yep, the text messages do, but I'm asking you. You were just asked about your opinion, whether or not there was a motive that you found for Brian Higgins to want to murder John O'Keefe. I'm asking you a different question. Did you, in your mind, in your opinion, after having read those texts, find a motive for Brian Higgins to perhaps want to confront John O'Keefe because of jealousy?
If you're asking for my opinion is that he would need to confront Mr. O'Keefe. Mr. O'Keefe was not the one pursuing Mr. Higgins. It was your client that was pursuing Mr. Higgins.
Okay, so, well, the text messages, like you said, speak for themselves. You'll agree that it showed that there was a mutual interest, right? It just wasn't one-sided.
At times there was flattering text messages from both sides, but your client reached out to him first.
Right. I mean, somebody's got to reach out, right? Everybody's got to reach out to somebody. First, someone's got to do it first, right?
Well, it depends.
Doesn't mean that there's not mutual affection for one another. Is that right? Or at least perceived mutual affection.
I don't understand the question.
Did you see in those text messages, in your mind, a motive that might lead to jealousy on the part of Brian Higgins?
No, I think Brian Higgins was pretty clear in his request for explanation of what the defendant wanted out of this, and stated that he's friends with Mr. O'Keefe. So he wanted clarity from the defendant about what was going on.
Actually, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't read it to be that he was jealous as I sit here thinking back on the content.
What about after drinking Jameson and ginger all night long and sending a text that said, well?
Objection.
Might that change things?
I don't know what Mr. Higgins' state of mind was. Well, could mean many different things. They could have had a face-to-face interaction, a look. We'd be strictly speculating what was intended by that, or what was the intent of communication by that text message.
After weeks of communicating with Ms. Reed in a romantic manner, and then seeing her walk in the door with John O'Keefe and sending the text message, well, after having been intoxicated, you see that, detective, as an investigator, as a reasonable, objective investigator, as a possible scenario for Brian Higgins to be jealous about John O'Keefe.
There's a possibility there, but I didn't see it.
Did you explore that possibility when you got all these text messages?
We did not follow up on that aspect based on the totality of the entire investigation.
Did you pull the tape at the waterfall and review the tape as we did here in court?
That happened, yes.
Okay. Did you see on the tape a time just before Brian Higgins left the location where he was confronted by Chris Albert?
Objection.
Change the wording.
Sure. Did you see a circumstance, did you see a situation on that tape where Brian Higgins is standing and Chris Albert physically puts his hand on Brian Higgins' arm, on his left arm.
I don't have a specific memory of that.
You remember a circumstance on that tape where Brian Higgins pulled his arm away and looked past Chris Albert over toward the bar, which is where John O'Keefe was standing. You see that?
I do remember you pointing that out, but we couldn't tell him who exactly he was looking at based on the video.
Did you see a circumstance in which Brian Higgins then put his hand on his forehead and began rubbing his forehead like this?
I don't have a memory of that.
Did you see a circumstance in which he then motioned over toward that side of the bar with his left hand?
That I remember, yes.
Did that seem realistic to you? Let me ask it a different way. Did that seem to you as a reasonable interpretation? Hey, come on outside. Or come here.
Very reasonable since they've been invited to 34 Fairview.
Did it look, in your opinion, that that was just a, hey, let's go together? Or did it look more to you like, hey, come outside? Or let's step outside?
The totality of the investigation, the fact that when they stepped outside, there was no confrontation and they were invited to the address. Again, totality of the investigation suggests otherwise.
Let's talk about that totality of the investigation. You're aware that Brian Higgins left first. He was the first to arrive at 34 Fairview, even before Brian Albert.
I am, yes.
And you're also aware that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed were among the last to arrive. So they didn't step outside together, right?
They didn't step outside, but once he was invited, according to your narrative, wouldn't they have a discussion outside where he was invited to come out?
So, Mr. Jackson, I just want to ask you, how much longer?
Not long. I can finish this up if you give me probably 10 minutes.
Okay. Jurors are saying yes. Is it okay with all the jurors? We usually break at 4.
I don't want to overstep. I'm happy to stop now, but I think I can get it finished.
I'd like to finish with this witness and not have to bring it back again tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. I appreciate the accommodation. You're aware that, according to the tape, John O'Keefe left about 10 minutes after Brian Higgins, or so.
I'll take your word for it.
Okay. You would agree, as a homicide investigator, not every death starts off as an intended murder, correct?
I will agree to that.
Sometimes a fight could go wrong, and you intend to fight and duke it out. Something goes wrong, something goes south, someone dies, correct?
Objection.
Is that something that you, it's beyond the scope, so move along.
You were asked on redirect examination about taillight pieces that were found by the CERT team. I want to ask you real quick about that. Your testimony was you recall that the CERT team found a large piece of red taillight material during their initial search. Is that correct?
That's my recollection, yes.
Okay. Did the CERT, you had a debriefing with the CERT team, correct?
Not the CERT team. I had a debrief with the members of our unit at the Canton PD conference room. I do not have a memory of the CERT team being there.
Do you recall ever being told or informed that the CERT team actually recovered maybe 5 or 6 pieces, maybe 7 pieces of small plastic material in addition to the shoe, as opposed to a large piece of red taillight?
The memory that stands out to me that I have is that there was a large piece of plastic recovered. It wasn't a shard. It was significant enough that, shown on the photograph taken by Detective Lieutenant Tully.
And do you recall that the CERT team, or were you ever informed that the CERT team found those, according to the CERT team, within inches of one another, within about a 2-foot square radius?
I don't have a memory of where they found them exactly. I wasn't there.
Okay. You were asked about the taillight. You were shown a photograph of the taillight where almost the entirety of that lens material is missing, gone, correct?
Yes.
And you remember talking to Jen McCabe originally, interviewing her within days of this incident happening, correct?
It was the 29th we
Like, as a matter of
interviewed.
fact, the day.
That day, yes.
Do you remember her saying that the taillight was cracked/broken?
She communicated that over the phone to Michael Proctor, which was then documented later on in the interview report
Okay.
from
In that
earlier.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it was documented within the interview report.
Okay. And in that interview report, it doesn't say the entire lens cap of that taillight is gone, correct?
Correct. The report does not say that, no.
And she didn't describe that, did she?
I don't know what she described to Michael Proctor over the phone.
You pulled out a pair of jeans belonging to Mr. O'Keefe just a second ago,
Yes.
and you noted that on his, what would be his left rear pocket, there was a stain.
Yes.
You said that was an apparent grass stain, and it was green.
Based on my observation here holding them, that's what it appeared. Yes. Maybe dirt, maybe other substances.
That was my question. Did you seek to analyze what that discoloration was from, or have caused that to be analyzed by the crime lab or anybody else?
The genes were processed. I don't know what their protocol is to analyze it. They process those genes. There's pieces missing from cuttings and stuff like that.
Understood. So as you sit here, you have no evidence at all that those are grass stains, correct?
Strictly my experience of knowing grass stains and observing it.
Could be dirt,
Could be.
could be oil or grease.
I don't know about that, but
They look brown. Stains look brown, doesn't it?
there's different parts of the stain. Some has brown, some has green, different parts of it.
Could you get, in your experience, stains on the back of pants from being dragged?
I've never dragged anybody, so from my experience, I can't tell you.
I didn't ask if you've ever dragged anybody. You've never murdered anybody either, but you're a homicide investigator, right? Did you get those stains from being dragged? It's just a common sense question.
My common sense dictates that it was not a drag, a mark, because it would have linear characterizations, and it would be both buttocks that are engaged in contact with the ground while being dragged.
Or if he was being dragged and he had something in his pocket, or being dragged at an angle. Being dragged through a crease spot that was only on the left. What about all those possibilities?
Again, my opinion, common sense dictates it was not the case.
But you certainly didn't take any action to investigate forensically what those stains actually were.
I did not know.
By the way, can you lose a shoe from being dragged?
It depends. I guess you can, depending on how loose it is.
You said that there was no information that you had regarding Brian Higgins and John O'Keefe having any animosity toward each other prior to January 29th, 2022, correct?
Correct.
But you did, now let's talk about on January 29th, 2022. In your experience, does drinking alcohol increase a likelihood or increase the possibility of getting into an altercation?
I would say, in my experience, in my opinion, the alcohol could become a social lubricant and exacerbate emotions. But to speak in a definitive form here. I can't.
You've heard of beer muscles. That's a common phrase, right?
Never heard that before. No,
Beer guts. Ever heard that one?
I've heard of beer gut, but not beer guts.
Having the guts to walk up to someone you might not otherwise walk up to in a bar because you've had too much to drink. Is that what beer muscles could mean?
I would say maybe liquid courage,
Even better. What does liquid courage mean?
giving you courage that truly shouldn't be there.
That you might not otherwise have if you weren't drinking.
Yeah. Yes.
Can we wrap this up, Mr. Jackson?
I'm trying, Judge. I won't be much longer. You had evidence that Brian Higgins had been drinking most of the afternoon and evening or most of the night, that evening and night, at the time that John O'Keefe and Karen Reed walked into the waterfall, correct?
I had information that Brian Higgins had returned from a police officer's funeral and then went to Waterfall after he changed clothes and took a shower.
Went to the hillside before he went to the waterfall and started drinking there, correct?
I don't have an independent memory of that, no.
But you did, at the time, you didn't pull the tape at Gesundheit. At the time, you didn't pull the tape at CPD that we saw with Brian Higgins on the phone at 1:30 in the morning, correct? You didn't have that information.
I'm sorry, can you
At the time-
give me a reference when at the
Sure.
time?
At the beginning of your investigation, January 29th, and probably the next, let's call it a couple months.
Mhm.
You did not have that information, correct?
No, we did not.
And you didn't seek that information from CPD at that time.
No, I had no information that he went there.
Okay? And you didn't extract his phone, correct?
That's correct.
And finally, you indicated that you were asked on redirect examination, did you have any evidence that John actually went into the home? Did you ever interview Trooper Guarino during the course of your investigation at any time?
Interview him?
Talk to him
No.
about his extraction of John O'Keefe's phone and any of the data that came off of his phone.
No.
You did not realize that Trooper Guarino had information that John O'Keefe took 36 steps covering a distance of some 84 feet that would have placed Mr. O'Keefe inside the residence at 12:32:16.
Objection.
Did you have any information from Trooper Guarino about steps that were logged on Mr. O'Keefe's phone?
No, I did not.
That it, Mr. Jackson? You said finally, that's what I'm wondering.
May I have just a moment?
Yes.
I'm trying to wrap this up. I only have a couple more things, but I may be able to finish it with one question. As you sit here now, are you aware of whether or not there's evidence that John O'Keefe, the phone describes John O'Keefe's phone taking 36 steps, covering a distance of about 84 feet at 12:32:16 on the morning of January 29th, 2022?
Objection.
Can you answer that? Are you aware of that?
I am not, Your Honor.
So the answer is,
The answer was,
No, I'm not aware of that.
all right.
all right.
Jurors, I appreciate you staying late, so Trooper Lieutenant, you do not have to return.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So
Thank you.
folks, those same cautions, please do not discuss this case with anyone. Don't do any independent research or investigation into this case. If you happen to see, hear, or read anything about this case, please disregard it and let us know, and be careful with your social media use. We'll see you tomorrow.
Please rise for the jury.
So it's
All right, y'all. That was court today. I will see y'all tomorrow. I'm in a meeting right now, so I'll give y'all my recap tomorrow morning. I hope you have a good day. See y'all later.